Hey folks, it's Joseph at John the Hut Dweller channel. It's funny people keep calling me John. Bad name for a channel, right? There is no Joseph the Hut Dweller. It's John. I thought he was an interesting saint, but yeah, whatever. But what I wanted to address today is somebody had wrote me and said, of course the Orthodox have a concept of heaven and hell, and of course they have dogma, and smoking is a sin, and what? Okay, back up here. Dogma in the Western sense, no. Um, and I've heard it go both ways. Um, I've heard people who agree with this idea of dogma. And I did too for a while until I picked up on a couple of what some bishops said, and I said, that's actually much more correct. And actually on here you have Archbishop Lazar, who I think he knows more than some just YouTube user, says there's no dogma. The definition of dogma in the West, well, it's only where it's at. Dogma, it's a Latin word. You can apply it to Roman Catholicism, Buddhism, definitely, and Islam. For the Hasidic Jews and the Eastern Orthodox, I don't really like to lump those groups together, but there's no real, it just doesn't apply, the word dogma. You have doctrines and creeds, but there's no systematic dogma, I should actually say. Everything comes organically. There's no rule and then adherence. It's adherence in the disciplines come out of that. It's not the other way around. As for heaven and hell does not exist. Let's just get that clear right now. Hell does not exist. And this isn't fully Orthodox teaching. Hell will exist in the future. What that is, we don't know. When the fire is started, but we have an image of it with heaven and hell being identical, being the same place. And it's just your attitude. There's no paradise earth. There's no flames of a god skewering you and torturing you. There's none of this. So currently, in the Old Testament, hell meant it was Sheol. It was the pit, the grave. And you can even see the Orthodox icon of the harrowing of hell, right before the resurrection, of Christ pulling Adam and Eve out of hell, gates of hell broken, devil bound, chained, knocked out, dead, whatever, all the locks broken, the destruction of hell. The hell that's talked about as the torment, that is merely just being in the presence of God. And just like heaven, it's either a refining fire or a blazing furnace. Everything gets pulled back to God. This person might have read about Orthodoxy in a book, or somebody must have told them, oh, the Catholicism and Orthodoxy are the same except for the bishop, or but what? Tobacco too. This is a sin. This can separate me from God. What about alcohol? Pork? This was totally destroyed in the first century. This idea that if you eat a certain food, or if you eat not even just prohibited foods, if you eat foods together, if you have a cheeseburger, you're sinning. This is stupid. Or people applying, oh, if you eat too much, if you eat fatty foods, that's a sin. You're not respecting your body. How dare? This is a Seventh-day Adventist type mentality. You go to any Orthodox church, you see all the men. Sometimes the women smoking outside. In fact, it's kind of a custom of the Greek Orthodox Church. Although, let me say, not a teaching. It's something that's practiced by some of the people who go to St. Athanasios, which is by me. I don't want to keep making these blanket statements about the Greeks. The men, during the reading of the Gospel, will go outside and have a cigarette and come back in for communion. Yeah, it's not good at all. Don't do that. Stay in the church for the reading of the gospel. And they say the doors don't leave. Funny story, I'll tell you later about that though. But yeah, these three things, concept of heaven and hell, yeah, a concept of it, but not the Western concept, not anything that would look anything like the Western version. And when I mean Western, I mean both Roman Catholic and Islamic, and even any of the myriad of ways of the Protestants. The closest, sad to say, the closest that gets to the correction for afterlife is probably, well, you'd have to mix two. You'd probably be the liberals, extreme liberals, and some of the fundamentalist Christians that say there's a real need for Christ. But I mean, if you were to mix those two, but it still wouldn't come out. It's like saying, well, I can mix Roman Catholicism and Islam to get Orthodoxy. No. But what do we do about hell? Well, there's an issue of universal salvation, and I'll talk about this in another video too. You can believe in universal salvation, you just can't preach it. And I know that seems strange, that seems counter-orthodox. I'll explain it in my next video. Peace to you. Have a good day, and happy Mother's Day to any of the mothers out there.